So hey, welcome to my vlog. Today what we've got Angela joining us. A year and a half ago, I had gastric bypass surgery. How long has it been for you?
It'll be a year in November.
We're looking at roughly 9 months that we've both been on this path together. The reason why we wanted to make this video is because there's probably some couples out there that have decided to go through with having some sort of bariatric surgery together. And what we want to do is kind of just discuss and talk about some of the issues that we've had, some of the pitfalls that we've had, some of the successes that we've had together. So I guess the first thing I want to ask is, what are the biggest changes that you've seen for us as a couple?
Like immediately after the surgery, like that same week I went home from the hospital, is when I really started to realize how much I relied on food for. I ate when I was bored, I ate when I was sad, I ate when I wanted to celebrate, I ate when I felt nervous, I ate when I didn't feel well. But after the surgery, you really can't eat anything, and so I felt really lonely, and then I started to feel really guilty because of how lonely I felt, and it made me feel sick that had become my relationship with food, and I really didn't realize the extent of it until I just couldn't eat anymore. So that was like the biggest change in me. I guess, how has that affected our relationship?
I guess what we've had to do is we've had to learn how to, as a couple, manage our stresses and our daily issues in a different way.
You bring up a good point, because like when we would want to celebrate each other, we would celebrate with food. And when the other one was feeling down, we would get them something to eat or a special treat. Or when the other one was stressed out, we'd get them food or alcohol, you know, and like that, you're right, that is a big change. Our relationship was also centered around food, and like a lot of social relationships are centered around food. If you think about the things that your friends invite you out to do, or your family invites you out to do, you're invited out to special dinners, you're invited to potlucks, you're invited to picnics, like it's all food centered. Like at first especially, it's shocking how our whole community is just centered around food. And so you have to learn new ways to relate to people that you didn't before.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, I've almost even realized that sometimes we used to go out and I felt so bad about myself that I'd just gorge myself to keep from having nothing to talk about. Because if my mouth is full of food, then I didn't have to think of anything to say.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah.
Also realizing that it's not normal to feel sick all the time.
Yeah.
That was crazy. How much we would just eat until we felt sick, because that's how we were dealing with whatever emotion it was. And if you could make yourself sick enough to not feel that emotion, and it wasn't a conscious thing. It wasn't like, I'm going to eat all these brownies until I feel sick so I don't feel the pain anymore. I mean, that's not what it was. It was just like, I just want another brownie. I'm not done eating them yet. And then all of a sudden you feel really, really sick and grumpy, and you have like the sugar high and the sugar crash, and then you drink soda or coffee or both of those, or alcohol or whatever, and it's just this disgusting cycle that you put yourself on. And I honestly hadn't realized that I had put myself on that, and so having the surgery immediately took me off of that cycle. Whether or not I realized I was on it, I was off of it at that point. And it has affected our relationship and how we interact with each other, how we interact with our friends and our community. It's affected the kids in ways that, like, what we bring into the house is way different than before. We don't eat out nearly as often, because as somebody who's had RNY surgery, you do have to be a lot more careful and selective about what you're willing to put into the tiny amount of space that you have. And so eating out isn't really a good option. Sometimes it's necessary, like if you're on a road trip, you have to find ways to eat. We just don't do it. We are out and about, and maybe once a week I'll take the kids and stop and get something. Like if I take them to a taco shop, they all share one burrito. It's usually something with protein in it, like a breakfast burrito, because there's eggs, there's meat. Because we're eating less, the kids are eating a lot less too. So there's a lot of just behavior modeling. Too many carbs, too much sugar. It's not going to work if we're just feeding them a small amount.
What I've noticed, and the easiest thing for me, is I love having breakfast now because everybody can eat eggs, everybody can have a little bit of sausage or bacon or ham or something like that. I also have noticed that when I take the girls out different places, or even when we just go out as a family, I like to make sure that we bring plenty of snacks. So like cut up carrots, cut up celery. I really like having things of fruit.
Protein shakes, protein bars, If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you do have questions and you put them in the comments below, I will do what I can to answer them, or maybe make another video about whatever your questions are. I'm going to finish my coffee and enjoy the rest of my evening with my kids.